do we talk about this one when we didn't lock a name? Garden Wellington, Green Wellington, Keto Wellington. Is it a Wellington if there's no crust? The anti-Wellington. Everybody knows how much we love Wellington. We've done a few versions at ChefSteps over the years. One thing we haven't done is like this summer version. It's a little bit like Francis Mallmann-y. It's just meat and veggies. It's really simple. Meat and greens, really, really bulletproof. You can't mess it up. Let's get started here. The only thing that I think is maybe of note here is you want to cook or choose a tender cut. So a tender cut that's just going to come up to doneness and it's going to be ready to slice. I've done this most with beef tenderloin or a piece of fish. I'm going to stick with loins for this one. It's easy. We've got this amazing resource on chefsteps.com. It's everything you'll ever need to know, want to know, plus more about all things beef. What do you ask your butcher for? Where does it come from on the cow? What are the other cuts it's attached to? Let's talk about flavor. There's so many ways to get flavor, and you don't have to develop flavor. You can just smear on light flavor, like bright fresh herbs, spices, fresh greens. That's flavor, but it doesn't take a bunch of work. And that's what we're gonna do here because this is like a summertime dish. For the beef tenderloin, mustard. This is like a tomato sultana, white sultana chutney. This is like a harissa that Nick put down over here. The reality is it doesn't matter. Whatever you got in your pantry, whatever your heart desires. What do we want to do for this one? I'll just do Dijon and rosemary, and then we'll go crazy on the greens over here. So let me get like a spoon or a knife or something. That'll work. A little Dijon. This is like the part where you get to be like fun and creative and pick any flavor you want. Just go crazy on it. Herbs. You could do anything you want here. I've just done salt and pepper so many times on a piece of meat, wrap it in greens, done. I'm not gonna chop it up, I'm gonna leave whole needles. You know, the more you chop it up, the more they're gonna oxidize and get that like kind of funky, grassy, mowed lawn flavor. If you want some guidance on what flavor to put with what, we've got a bunch of helpful tips and tricks on that at ChefSteps. You can kind of like, reference this protein, what, flavors, condiments, whatever sauces might go great with pork, beef, chicken, whatever you want to do. You don't have to go crazy and buy this many greens. This is like all the greens ever right now. The one thing that I think is most helpful for here is just hearty greens, big leafy greens, and it's hard to go wrong. We've got like dino kale and chard and collards, rainbow chard, lactonito kale. Even this curly stuff, it works fine because, once you start wrapping it, all this is gonna get like nice and compact. Anyways, we're gonna truss it. But I'll go with like my favorite classic, just like so easy and comes together really nicely. I like this dino kale, and we'll do some chard. You can throw in some yeah, these are nice. Collard greens are nice for this, and plus it's like a giant blanket. It just makes life so easy. It's like a big banana leaf. We'll throw a couple of those in. Let's do it. I just start laying them out. Real simple. These big hardy stems, they're gonna break and crack anyway, so what I do is, get rid of a couple of these stems. And you can just make your life easy and chop it like that, but I like to thin these stems up a little bit here like this too. So we'll go through these real quick. So I'm just kind of like shaving that and making that like a little bit easier. But see, this will like bend and roll a lot nicer now. If you go greens crazy, like the more layers you add, the longer it's gonna take to cook, just because it's like, we actually talked about this with the beef Wellington activity. It's like house insulation. Whether you're on the grill or in the oven, all those layers of greens are gonna serve like insulation, so it's gonna be that much more work to get that heat into the meat. One layer of greens can take like no time to cook. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers is gonna add a lot of time to the cooking stage. So first, I'm gonna mix up these guys a little bit here. And you can already see that's like plenty of length to work in. I could even like, if I was really serious about it, you can even just like take this and put this over here. But I need enough to roll, so I do another layer this way. Unless your greens are like, you know, 1.5 feet long, which they're probably not. So just keep shingling and adding some more greens here. We'll save this guy for the end. I don't even need all these. That's it. Look how simple that is. Meat goes on. And we're gonna roll this thing up, and that's it. You just wanna be like tidy and cozy with it. I would say, just looking at it right now, see how this line's a little bit tidier than this line? So maybe you wanna start with this on the inside. Maybe that's like one tip and trick. If you wanted to do real crazy upgrade, you can do the thing where you have like plastic wrap or parchment under it. But you know, this is something that I like to put together real quick, and the whole point of this for me is like light and simple, fresh technique. So I don't usually go crazy on that. So I'm gonna let go of this and it's come undone a little bit, but it's not gonna matter, and I'm gonna show you why. I'm gonna get my string here. It's like it's got a mind of its own. Feed me, Seymour. So I don't get fancy with this trussing technique. You can if you really want to, but there's actually a reason I don't, and I kind of do this sloppy wrap, and I'll show you what I mean by that. I get my first little tie. The loin's only starting here, so that's why the string's not up to here. The loin's about here. So I start tying here, and then I literally just do like a little spiral wrap. You can roll it this way if you want. Just kind of keep rolling it towards you. Find the end of the tenderloin's about there. See this guy, you think he's gonna come off. Kind of maybe sort of is about to, but we'll just tie him on. And what I do is when I get to the end, I'm just feeling here, this is the end. Same thing. I do one there, and then I just go back to the beginning. Back to the basics. And then I use that first string I had back here to tie off on. So I can just tie off right here. You know, you could actually leave these on, and these are just gonna like wilt and kind of like close down like that, and it's great. There's nothing wrong with that. You could trim them right now, you know, a little bit, and just kind of get them out of your way, so you have some like little bit more predictable piece to work with. But like that's our whole little garden Wellington. You know, it's simple, it's pretty. This whole thing's gonna kind of like cook and shrivel up a little bit. Again, all this sort of stuff. Chop it up, saute some mushrooms on the grill. That's also on the side or underneath. It's easy, so you don't have to waste anything at all. This guy's ready for the oven. That's it. We're at like the, what is this? 4th of final stage? 4th of 6. How many steps are we? There's 5. Okay, pick your protein, pick your flavor, get your veg and wrap it, bake it, grill it. We're gonna use our countertop precision oven. The bigger your oven, the less efficient it is generally because you're gonna move more heat, energy, and more air around. So these are really efficient, not just from like an energy consumption standpoint, but from a cooking perspective. As you know, I'm not gonna beat around the bush. You know, probably makes the best one. No matter what, I'm gonna use a probe, whichever one you have, but I'm gonna use a digital probe and thermometer. And you have an opportunity to go super fast or low and slow here. So the benefit of going fast is you crank up the oven to a much hotter temperature, use the probe, you pull it a little bit earlier than your desired core. The benefit there is it's gonna be done quite quickly. But going slower, meaning the closer the oven temperature is to your desired temperature, it's gonna take longer time to cook, but you'll have that like sous vide result where the meat's perfectly cooked and evenly cooked all the way through from the edge to the middle. So if you want some inspiration on doneness, like how do I want my beef done, or my lamb, or my pork loin, or my halibut, or my salmon, one first option is to download the Joule app, the ChefSteps Joule app, and we've got all this visual doneness in sous vide. It's not gonna tell you when it's gonna be done because those temperatures are for sous vide, but will tell you the visual for core temperature, right? Like, what does the steak look like at that done temperature? So for this, you'd go to the beef tenderloin or the Cannon for sous vide, and you'd pick, 129 degrees or 131 degrees because it looks good. That's what you'd want your target temperature to be on the low precision oven cooking. I'm gonna walk away. I'm gonna go about my life, make some sides, make coffee, hang out. Okay, it's been, I don't know, a while, because we did low and slow and precise cooking. Roast temp, here's 122 it says, for beef, you know? So that's like most people's like happy rare. Long story short, it's done. And I can guarantee you it's perfectly evenly cooked, edge to edge. So one thing you can see, we've got some like oil and juice coming out. That's like, nice, fat juices just rendering out of the meat. That's great, that's fine. We're off to the grill. That's nice, man. It's just gonna bloom for a second. You guys know what I'm talking about with the blooming. Letting that oxygen hit that meat. Nick's got a little finishing horseradish for me. I think fresh grated horseradish is one of my favorite things. Okay, let's be honest. Wasabi versus horseradish, just like how crazy everybody gets about like fresh wasabi versus fresh horseradish.
Horseradish for sure.
I mean, I'm considering like availability and price and everything, I don't know, you can assemble these, well in advance, like the day before, and pop them in the fridge, and then cook them the day you need, kind of thing. Hopefully we outlined it in a way that you can wrap your head around and dive into right now. But if you want some more support, go to ChefSteps.com. We got all the steps there. This is one of those recipes, little effort, a lot of value. It's a good one. It's a keeper. See you on the next one.